One Pissed Call. Hey, folks, welcome back to One Pissed Call. If you didn't know this, I was out for like a month from doing content because I had some COVID that I caught. You know how that works. And I haven't actually talked or called back Jessica in like a month or so. So she gave me a call. She knows that I've been feeling better. So I think I'm just going to give her a call back, and she's going to tell me why she's pissed. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? I'm not dying from COVID anymore. It's good to speak to people.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and it's just in time for us to get. I know this is supposed to be one pissed call, but I gotta say this time I'm pretty pleased with what's happening.
One pleased call. This one episode will be called One Pleased Call.
One pleased call. This special episode because Trump's Mar-a-Lago home got raided. If you hadn't heard,
hype. I did hear about it. I saw all the people on Fox News crying about how it was un-American or something. I don't know. But I've been so sick, I haven't really kept up much on it. So I'd love to hear more.
Well, let me tell you, we're at just the right point where there is so much information coming out. And literally right before we got on the call, I was reading a new article about how new proceedings are going to force more documents about the raid to become public. But so this has been an ongoing thing, and Fox News' whole thing, and everybody was all like, oh, you didn't have to raid. You could have just asked. But they'd actually subpoenaed him twice. And he claimed, and his lawyers claimed, that they had turned everything over. So now when they raided him and they found all these documents, not only is he in trouble, but his lawyers signed documents saying that they verified that there was nothing else there. So his lawyers are even in trouble at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can't... that could be considered... what's the word for it? Like when you betray the country, there's a certain thing that it's called...
espionage?
Espionage, which I believe... According to the U.S. government, is punishable by death. So I doubt that will happen, but I'm just saying the guy did something so bad that they usually kill people over this kind of thing.
So they're looking at the Espionage Act for charging him. But yeah, they're just his defense. Well, we'll have to go through the list because they keep changing their story, like the right wing and Trump, and everyone keeps changing the story because first there was nothing, and then it was planted, but then it wasn't planted. Those documents were there, but they had been declassified by Trump because at some point he said, if I take it home with me, it's declassified, and he thinks that stands. How
can he declassify something that apparently wasn't real?
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they said that he declassified it, right? Which means that it can be seen by the public, like it's not secret information. But then they're all upset that investigators are going to be reading these documents, and they're saying, we need to hire what's called a special master to read over all these things and decide what the investigators have the clearance to read. So it is simultaneously not there, but there, and also simultaneously top secret and declassified. So they're really coming at this at all angles to try to get out.
I can't with that. That's so crazy. I read one thing that he like had released the search warrant to like a publication, like like America One or something, and then they then they put it out completely with like the charge codes and everything that told you exactly what the warrant was there for, and like he pretty much outed himself, which is incredible.
He did, because first he was like, oh, well, what was the purpose? What was the purpose? And then they got the warrant. Well, he released the warrant, and then other people released it. Because really, the funny thing about that release was that information was public information, and that like someone... It was like in the process of being like FOIA requested, but basically Trump released it literally like a day before anyone else could get it. So he could be like, well, that news source could be like, well, we got it first. But yeah, then they like left it unredacted, so it just looked bad for him.
It just made it incredibly a bad look for him. Oh, that's just
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. Okay, so let me try to break down my understanding of what has happened, because I don't know as much as you do, and then you can kind of debunk and or elaborate on what those things are.
For sure.
So, all right. From my understanding, he's kicking in Mar-a-Lago. He's out there being incredibly white and fat. And then one day, the FBI raids, they have all these different stories about how it's un-American, blah, 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 that they did this. They never done this to a past president, blah, 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 blah. And it turns out it's essentially because he took shit that he wasn't supposed to take. They warned him, hey, give that shit back. He said, nah. And then they showed up and took it, and then he got his panties in a bunch about it. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, pretty much. They actually gave him like 2 or 3 chances to return the documents. In January, the National Archive and Record Administration got 15 boxes of documents and other things from Mar-a-Lago that should have been left at the White House to begin with. And then and that had a bunch of classified documents mixed in it. And then and then in this raid, they found even more classified materials, specifically including payroll for American spies. If there is anything that is the ultimate supervillain espionage situation, it is literally getting the payroll names and numbers of the spies to trade with Russia.
But now that they know how each one of them was paid, maybe they can form a union. That's insane. Union. Yeah, the spy union, the spy kids and whatnot. That's insane. That's so crazy. And I love I saw Steven Crowder literally crying about it and trying to get people to sign up for his mug club as a result, because I guess for some reason you need to join his mug club to watch him really weep and break down into tears. But I think it's so funny that they're so aggressive on this idea. But then if you wind the clock back to 2016, 2015, the security of Hillary's private server was the most horrific thing ever. They were so terrified of the security of her private servers and emails. And this dude.
Oh yeah, and you want to know? You want to know how locked up the room was they found these documents in?
Oh, please tell me.
There was a single regular old lock on the door. It was just a storage room, right? And that's one of the rooms. And that was when they originally came and took documents. And they told the government told Trump they had to at least put a second lock on the door, because it was literally just a regular door lock, nothing really keeping anyone out, especially an employee, right? And then there's also been statements from employees saying that they saw these documents get moved around the Mar-a-Lago property, and that especially because they had already given documents before. It said in an article I read that the prosecutors had reason to believe that documents had either been moved or removed from the Mar-a-Lago property. And because they keep saying these things where it's we basically heard that this happened on property and it's being able to be used in a legal fashion, a lot of people are trying to figure out who the mole must be, because somebody had to be telling them something. If they had already gone and gotten documents over and over again, to know that there were more, and to know they would be, at least some of them were in a storage room, and I believe some of them were in Trump's office, literally in his office.
No, not
very sneaky.
Not to wildly speculate, because that's not really our thing. That's more their thing. But I do find it interesting that he would even feel the need to have these documents, and what the purpose for them even was. I'm not trying to say he's Mr. Espionage for reals. I don't really know exactly what the reason for having these documents are, but it just seems strange to put yourself in this kind of situation. I don't know.
Yeah. And, Trump being Trump, it could literally just be him being a petulant child.
That's what I thought.
Things, right? But then, with documents like spy information and potentially nuclear information, because not only were a lot of these documents top secret, but they were top secret compartmentalized, which means even of the top, that project had been broken into pieces and top secret. So even the people with the information don't have all the information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they keep the information from people so they can't piece it all together, even when they have the highest of clearance. Like that's how top secret some of these documents were.
Yeah. And I think the left feared and the right was counting on the idea that these documents were going to be essentially like, because the FBI is so intense about secrecy to the fact that they hide the fact that they were actually a front to attack people of color for a long time. But anyway, they're just a group all about secrecy. And so the question came in like, okay, how serious is the documentation? Because I feel like if it would have been like not important documents, the right would have touted that and it would have just empowered them to come behind Trump and be like, this is a publicity stunt. And I'm almost glad to hear that they were incredibly sensitive and important documents, because now what kind of fucking leg does anybody have to stand on,
Yeah. And but I will say on the speculation of the mole, I don't want to necessarily speculate who it's going to be, but I just got to say, if it happens to either be Matt Gaetz giving information to get himself off, or Melania just not caring and wanting to get rid of the man because she doesn't seem to be interested in his existence, those would be my absolute favorite. If it was either of one of those that, ratted out, it would make my year. And then for theories on like why he took it, beyond Petulant Child is, we know him and Putin and Kim Jong-un or Il,
it's
or whichever
it's
one
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah, whichever one is currently there. Yeah, he's friends with them, and I'm sure they would like that information, or he feels like he could use it as a bargaining chip of some sort. So that's what I imagine. Like, he could do real serious harm, but I feel like he's not smart enough, and he would just like sell it to somebody for help in an election or something.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I just don't know. I doubt it's something like that. I just can't for the life of me believe that he would put himself out on a limb like that for something that smart, I guess I could say. Like, he's just been such a bumbling oaf in the past that I feel like this was a matter of like, you're kicking me out of the White House. Well, I'm taking my stuff with me. Like, it's just one of those moments, Well,
one of the things that I think has been funny is there was an image that was just recently like leaked or released, and it's an evidence style photo of a bunch of the documents. So they have a bunch of documents laid out on the floor, and they got one of those little measury things that they put there for scale, and a little paper that says like 2A for what piece of evidence it is, right? So it's clear to any normal person who has has ever watched a single crime show. Okay, they laid those out to use this as an exhibit in court.
Oh, were they
Trump took that picture, and he complained. He basically said they threw them on the floor to make it look like he just had top secret documents on the floor.
Oh,
so, they clearly set up and put a scale device there and everything. Like, no one thinks you just had them on the floor. We're concerned you had them, period.
Oh my God, I bet the right ran with that. I just know them. I know Fox News. I know somebody said, like, there is no way. Mr. President Trump keeps his office super clean. He would never do. I can already see the pundits, dude. I can see them. Like supervision.
Wild, they're actually having some pushback. There was, I just watched a clip earlier today, and I think it was Steve Doocy on Fox News talking to some representative for Trump of some sort. I don't remember exactly, or someone basically taking Trump's side on the issue and talking about the documents. And Doocy was like, well, why did he need those documents? If, why did he take such top secret documents? And he was actually giving some pushback, which isn't much, but is a lot for Fox News.
I think it's
a trend that's going to happen, because if he keeps losing favorability, although he did gain a bump in favorability after the raid, because, if you hurt him, it just makes him a martyr.
Yeah.
I think there's a good chance if Trump starts losing favorability that eventually, mark my words, if this goes one way, in like 2 years from now, you'll have Fox actually saying that Trump is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down to the fact that Fox News has really always thought Trump is crazy. They're just, they're grifters.
Oh, yeah.
And the moment that he won the moment he won the initial, like, Republican primary, it was over. And I think right now they're all trying to kind of switch into DeSantis mode, you know what I mean? Like, they're all trying to work around not publicly just attacking Trump, so to speak, but more or less trying to still show him somewhat favorably while also being like, but you know what? He's older now. He's at his moment. Time has passed. DeSantis, man, he's really cool, isn't he? Like, I want to be his friend. That's exactly. But I bet you anything like America One and like Steven Crowder and Tim Pool, they're like, fuck you, Trump's our boy, because on top of it being a political grift, it's actually just a views grift. Like, the fact is, politics on social media, especially right-leaning, has shot up in not only popularity, but just monetization post-Trump. So to lose a figurehead that causes as much news as him is actually scary to somebody like Tim Pool. So I think it boils down to, like, if we're going to see more in traditional media, even Fox News, which is, I would not call traditional, but like kinda, they're going to start showing less and less favorability the closer it gets to, like, when the primaries are going to start going, But we'll see.
That's another thing is there is talk that basically no charges will come to Trump until at least after this year's midterm election. There is some sort of law, code, policy, something along those lines in the like Department of Justice that you're not supposed to do big political things within like 90 days of an election. And that's what people had a problem with the whole, like, Hillary Clinton, what was it, no, not the Mueller report. Whatever was the Hillary Clinton email stuff.
Yeah, when she did this email trial shit, yeah.
Yeah, like right before the election. Technically, that broke that rule, but now they're not only following that rule to some degree, but they're following it to like an extreme degree of we're a few months out from, well, I guess now it's September 1st. We're 90 days out from a lot of major elections, so like they could just do something.
It's insane. It also is like, do you just get a pass on breaking the law if you're running for office? Like, if I like go commit a serious crime, couldn't I just start running for office? I mean, I have some political clout on the internet, somewhat. I could probably run for some kind of office. I could just go kill somebody and then go run for office and it'd be chill.
It could also be that in reality, they're kind of waiting for more of the January 6th stuff to kind of come through. Because I believe, what is it now, September, is when there's going to do more like trial or more dates of the committee. That's the word. The January 6th committee is going to hold more like testimony and stuff. So I'll be interested to see if anything from this raid or any evidence from this raid pops up in the committee trial hearing situation, along with, everything that they found on Alex Jones' phone.
I think the reason why people are waiting to start really digging into a lot of the raid stuff, as well as why I don't think much is going to come of the January 6th stuff, is because the Republican Party is waiting to see how Trump will do, because they need to know whether they need to back him again or not. They need to know whether they need to jump on that again or not. And then the other side of things, like, the Democrats, they're sitting there thinking, well, okay, if we let him run in this primary while all this insane shit is on the ledge, we can really point that out and use that against him 24/7, and maybe it'll kill his campaign. What they don't know is that they should just prosecute the fucking crime that he committed, and then maybe he won't be even able to run for president. But hey, whatever.
Yeah, it's a situation where it's like, depending on how it goes, you can be damned if you do, damned if you don't, because there's also like, while he's being investigated for all these things, at least for a moment after the raid, he got a bump in approval ratings because anything that they can take to make him a martyr for their cause and like, look how you're treating him. They're attacking us because we're right. Like,
yeah, but if you're convicted of espionage, can you even run for president?
If they full on convict him before anything happens, then no. But
and they could, they easily could. That's the insane part, is the fact that it's all there. You know what I mean? It's all there.
American politicians rarely face consequences for their wrongdoing.
Oh, I know.
So,
I know all about that.
The concern is they charge him, and even if they convict him on something lesser than espionage, potentially he could still try to run again. I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, like, I know there's certain things where he's been like convicted of them, you cannot run for office, but I'm assuming espionage, sedition, treason.
Yeah, I think treason. Yeah, treason. I know for a fact is punishable by death. I've read so many things about small treasonous acts leading to a death penalty, and it's like this dude was giving out. I'm not saying to kill Trump. I'm saying they should definitely stop him from running for fucking president. This is insane. But, that's just it. It has nothing to do with, like, what's actually for the betterment of the country or even what's for the betterment of his constituents. Because, I mean, like, even the people who want to vote for Trump don't realize that that's the worst option. But, hey, whatever.
Yeah, they're voting against their own interests. I mean, unless you are, like, a billionaire company owner, like, the average Republican is voting against their own interests most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously there's plenty of very wealthy Republicans who like it because of the tax breaks and things like that, and are very upset about the student loan debt forgiveness. I mean, like, you guys are pussies. I don't care. It's awesome. But it's really crazy to me that Trump is even planning to run again, because if he does lose a primary, regardless of whether he's, tried or not for these crimes, that will be the end of his movement. I mean, 2 decisive losses, like, that's going to be the end of it. So he would actually be smarter. Like, this is what a good politician would do. They would empower a familiar candidate to run instead on the same bias, on the same ideas. Get in bed with somebody like DeSantis. That's what, like, a real politician would do. And so that's Trump, how I know that Trump is not one. Yeah, he's doing this all because he's like, I am the coolest fucking guy in the room. Everybody loves me. Like, it's insane. And I'm super a big fan of the FBI actually doing something not racist and raiding him for once. That was tight.
Right? That was dope.
And, like, I love Criminal Minds and shit, but, like, government agencies are not exactly people that I fanboy over, but I'd be lying to you if I was not, like, whooping when I heard about the FBI raiding him.
Oh, yeah, my jaw absolutely dropped. It was gold.
It was awesome. It was so exciting. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, there's just so much divisiveness in the country, and I just, like... I'm over, like, the Trump people trying to argue with me that he's just being silenced or whatever. Like, I'm not even going to adhere to any of that anymore. There is no silencing in regards to keeping private documents that could possibly endanger the country. Like, that's all there is to it. He's literally the most un-American president I can think of right now.
Absolutely.
At least alive, anyway.
And he's not even being silenced. He has his whole entire own social network. And people have been pointing out the man has been going on like 40, 50, 60 post rants. Sometimes it's, just like a single rant where he's just like the posts are like one continuous complaint, basically. But he's like memeing. Like, he is memeing on the timeline, front page in front of everybody. And it's like, you're a whole ass president, sir. Can you not?
It's insane.
And it's like QAnon stuff, and like, it's insane. Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, it would never be tolerated if the roles were reversed and, it was a Democratic president meaning about the Republican president that he didn't like.
Yeah, no, Pete Buttigieg can't act that way. You know what I mean? Or like any of these other like very corporate Dems, like they can't do that. Not and I don't even just mean that in the sense of like they wouldn't socially get away with it. I think that's true, but also like you have to give Trump this. He's a TV show guy. He's charismatic. That's literally what he has. And I think people are so obsessed with the song and dance of his misogyny and his hot takes on Rosie O'Donnell, someone who like literally is just trying to live their fucking life, but okay. And I want it to be true that it's not enough to win the presidency twice, but I just like don't believe it. And I'm hoping that this raid doesn't do what I fear it will do, which is actually holster him up versus the opposite. Because it was the right thing to do. They needed to get the documents. It was and now we know that for a fact because they've talked about some of the things that these documents are. But it's also like, it makes me wonder if there is some orchestrated part of it on his end where he's like, oh, I can piss and cry and moan about this later and play it off like it was, you know, because I wonder if he would have taken unimportant documents if they would have done it. Like genuinely. It's a good question.
Yeah, it's such a strange situation, like all around. To just have a giant man-child baby of a former president. And
it's nuts because, like, you know, Joe Biden's approval numbers aren't exactly like glowing either. You know what I mean? But there is a real possibility that if they run against each other again, it could go the other way. And I just think that would just be such a soul crushing moment for everyone in the country.
I feel like at least, you know, we saw it happen. We lived through the whole situation once. So I think as we get closer to the presidential election, if Trump is still like the possibility of Trump as president is still floating around, I feel like people are going to take more action to work against that and to, like, you know, phone bank and canvass and register, like help people register to vote and do everything that they can. And, you know, like, we hoped for that with Bernie, and we hoped for that.
I worked so.
Not have Trump.
I spent such a long time campaigning for Bernie. It was, and just that was so disappointing in general. That whole situation, being the most popular politician in the world, and you couldn't become president. Like, statistically speaking, the most popular candidate and politician on the planet, and could not win. How insane is that?
It just really goes to show the power that is held by, like, the money and those controlling the money at the top of our two-party system.
And, like, I want Joe Biden to be that fine line where he does, like, cause a good amount of social change. And, like, you know, I loved the student debt forgiveness. It could have gone further, whatever, but it's still a huge deal. But he's not. Actually, like, the funny thing about Trump during his presidency is pre-COVID, he may have had a lot of, you know, controversies, but he was actually well liked by corporate America because of all the tax cuts he was giving. Yeah,
he was too well liked before COVID.
And the problem is that now COVID's passed, right? For the most part. I mean, obviously, I just fucking had it, so it hasn't literally passed.
You're right.
But
you want people to say it's gone.
No, it's not gone in the sense that it's gone. It's gone in the sense that it's no longer a term of voting, in my opinion. I think that most people have come to the conclusion that it's not something that you vote based on anymore. I think it still should be. The handling of COVID by Trump was fucking pitiful, but it's not something that people pay that much attention to anymore. And I know that because I was forced to go to a certain museum, I won't say which one, filled with people. And the Trump love is still very strong. And I mean, like, you would have thought he was still the fucking president. So,
well, they do. They think he is.
I know, yeah. They think he never lost. Him and Kennedy Jr., right? Is his vice president, Kennedy Jr., right? The one who died in 1995 or some shit?
I guess I should say, after all of this, Trump decided it was a good moment for, I think it was in one of his, like, you know, huge rants or binges on Truth Social. He was demanding a re-election. So he's given up on being reinstated as president based on the last election. So now he wants a re-election.
Wants to go again. Wants to run the numbers again, but new numbers.
Yeah. Just have everybody vote all over again. Like it's strange. It's strange. It's all so strange. I wanna leave the country. It's too strange.
It's a pretty dramatic time, and it's like, you know, it's oddly enough, it's really not just happening here. Like, you know, like what's the dude in the UK, the one who had the ridiculous bowl cut, the dude who just left, Boris Johnson. Like, Boris Johnson just got owned. So like, I think it's time that we just own Trump. And if he does run this primary, I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of, because like, nobody's going to run opposing Joe Biden and win. We've seen how hard that system of the Democrats is. We saw that after Bernie won a few states, every single fucking person running all dropped out and endorsed Joe Biden all at once he won one state. We know that machine is not something we're going to conquer in the next couple of years. It just needs to be incremental change on that side. But if every hardcore, like, far left person I know registers as a Republican right now, we vote in the primaries, right? And we destroy Trump. I'm just saying, because it doesn't really affect your overall election idea. It doesn't really affect, like, you know, and to be honest with you, right now, I have much more of a stake on who's running on the Republican side than the Democratic side, because there's a good chance that they could beat Joe Biden. So I that's probably something that I'm going to do. And hopefully there will be somebody like halfway decent that I can throw a fake vote at, you know?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I've heard about that strategy too. And you know, it's funny because I was just hearing about, I believe it's like the Norwegian Prime Minister. First of all, she's gorgeous. I think she's incredible. She's young and like a progressive politician and a woman, and that's just awesome because, you know, you don't see that. And she runs a whole ass country. Yeah, that
doesn't ever happen in the U.S., unfortunately.
Yeah, but she was at like a private party with some friends, and there's like videos that got leaked of them dancing to music together. And I think someone may have kissed someone on a cheek or something. It was the most tame shit in the world. And people were so mad at her for like acting unprofessional while in totally a personal like capacity. And it's like, wouldn't it be nice if that was our controversy?
So I hosted a Q&A a long time ago in Chicago. This place, it doesn't really matter. It was for this movie called St. Francis. It's not a big deal. But I met somebody there. Do you know who Crystal Ball is?
Yeah.
So she was somebody who not only was a great pundit, but could have very well had like an aggressive political career. And then like some photos of her fucking around with her friends and like sucking a fake dick. That ruined her campaigning, which is insane. Yeah. But Trump can do the insane shit he does. So yeah, like I love that. Even in Norway, they're like, she's dancing with her friends. That's fucking ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about?
And at least when they got mad at Boris Johnson for having a party, it was because it was during the height of COVID.
No, that makes
was like an actual big party.
That's called being dangerous, you know? Like, that's the reason why I don't fuck with Dr. Mike, the YouTuber. He went on a yacht with like a bunch of like, I'm assuming escorts. I'm not exactly sure, during COVID. Like, what the fuck? You're Dr. Mike.
Maybe I remember hearing about that now. See, I never really watched this stuff, so I like didn't really think about, like, I don't know, it didn't click. But now that you're saying it, I think I remember hearing about that.
Well, it was.
I mean, look at Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz.
Oh no, Dr. Oz. He's nothing like Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz's political campaign is the funniest thing on Twitter right now. It is amazing how terrible he is at campaigning. It is insane.
Yeah. See, John Fetterman is an example of political memeing done well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Dr. Oz is political memeing done poorly. And like he he just mocked, like, he posted conditions under which he would debate John Fetterman, but instead of it being like conditions for him, it was like accommodations he was going to provide for John Fetterman. Some of them were basically mocking the fact that the man just had a stroke.
Love that.
And he's a doctor.
I know. But he's also a doctor that said if you like essentially sit on sandpaper every day, you won't have cellulite or some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like he was endorsing insane shit on his television show. So
I think it would have been Midas Touch or Media something, or somebody put out a video and it was like a compilation of clips of him, and it started back when he was like the respectable doctor, and he actually testified in front of Congress to say that doctors should not be making money off of the medications they prescribe, because obviously that gives them an incentive to talk it up and make false claims and overprescribe it. Skip to a few years later, he's got a TV show, and he is an investor or on the board of or somehow financially connected to the companies that make basically every product he's ever promoted on his show.
Dude, he was talking about like he at one point he got confronted on like all of his houses, and he said he had like 2 or something like that. And then Fetterman posted a video of just a montage of all the different houses that Dr. Oz has. It is so fucking good. Oh my God. That is going to be a bloodbath of an election. Like I can't imagine any far right like debate bros getting behind Dr. Oz. Like they may be misogynistic, but they can't handle a guy taking an L. You know what I mean? Like that's out of the question.
He's taken so many.
He's literally he's an L doc. He's Dr. L.
Really, honestly.
Locked their laws, dude.
Yeah. And I'll give you one more example of political memeing done well and a little rabbit hole you can go into if you want to. So recently there was some loan forgiveness, and honestly I feel like the White House timed this so well, where they did the PPP loan forgiveness, small business loan forgiveness thing first, and nobody talked about it. And then they did the student loan forgiveness, and all the Republicans are up in arms. So then the White House official Twitter account started replying to tweets or videos or whatever of different people talking about how the student loan forgiveness wasn't okay, and then just captioned it with how much PPP loan forgiveness that congressperson got. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think Lindsey Graham, like all of them, they all got like hundreds of thousands of dollars, some people millions of dollars.
Wow.
Forgiven. And they never said a word. And so it was just like, oh, it was beautiful. It was the official Twitter, and they were just one after another after another. And then I found out why they were going, like, who was behind them going so hard. I can't remember her name, but the woman that was recently hired to do the White House social media used to do the official social media for New Jersey. So if you want a fun rabbit hole of good tweets, look into New Jersey state official Twitter.
Wait,
at least while she was working there, it was fire. Did
she do that Cory Booker post from like forever ago for Jersey? I feel like that might have been a thing.
Possibly,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There's some really good political memes out there. It's insane. And then there's some like really bad ones, you know, like you remember when Ted Cruz cooked bacon with his gun?
Oh yeah. Well, did you see Crowder comparing trying not to get censored on YouTube to the beaches of Normandy?
Oh, you're talking about the video with the Tom Hanks impression or whatever? He was like trying to do like a Saving Private Ryan like moment. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so glad he got fired from Arthur. He is one of the worst VO artists I've ever fucking heard. He just yells in his shitty, angry little voice, and it's terrible. It's terrible.
It made me laugh when I watched it, because it's like, even though he was trying to yell, you could like tell he was recording it inside, because he like wouldn't use like a full outside voice.
Do you think he
got this like quiet yell?
Do you think he was wearing his dumbass holsters while he was doing it?
Of course. underneath the army stuff he's wearing. He's like a never nude. Have you ever watched Arrested Development?
Yes, I love Arrested Development.
He's a never nude, but for gun holsters.
I would love to see him like at the beach, and you're just like, oh my god, he's got his holsters. He's got his holsters.
Trunks and gun holsters.
I feel like he is one of those people who like always has that. It's just it's so goofy. Maybe he's afraid that Sam Cedar is going to come out of nowhere, you know?
Oh, and somewhere else, there's also, turns out Dennis Prager is also afraid of Sam Cedar.
You know why? Because he's an incredibly educated pundit. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I agree with everything Sam Cedar's ever had to say, but like, he's very educated and he's willing to have a very nuanced, in-depth conversation, whatever it requires. And I think that scares people, like Steven Crowder wants to go out on the street and like yell at strangers and try to politically argue with them. And I actually have a friend who was out on the Cincinnati University campus, and it wasn't Crowder who came up to him, but it was like another debate bro. And his friend took a video on the other end because he knew what was going to happen. And my friend destroyed this guy, destroyed him, and then the video didn't get posted with it. So I don't know.
What's that?
So I was thinking, what a fun YouTube idea for me to do. I want to do it when COVID is less of an issue, where I feel comfortable going back out into public places. Maybe even closer to the elections. I was gonna get maybe a member from my crew, and we were just gonna do a reverse Steven Crowder and just like go attack Republicans. But the more I think about it, I'm like, you know what? They all seem to have holsters, so maybe not. But could make for a good video.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, dude, all insane. The world of politics is just always on fire. And since like 2016, it's just been on fire 24/7.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you say 2016 because there's a meme that it's like the Illuminati overlords have apologized. They're going to go ahead and reset the simulation to 2015 when things were okay.
I've heard people say that about 2012, like the Mayan calendar was right. Everything post then.
Everything that happened. Yeah, everything that happened since then is just the end of time.
I actually blame Seth Meyers before anybody else. Him making fun of Trump at that correspondence dinner. Oh, dude, that was what put the nail in the coffin. Yeah, he was just like, oh, I'm going to fucking show this one random guy what's up. Dedicate my entire life to doing this. It's fucking insane. Fucking insane. Well, I think we got it here. I think we've. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, I think that's it.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this and you're listening on Spotify or whatever, make sure to leave it 5 stars. This is a brand new podcast. Also, follow Jessica on her TikTok and her Linktree, which is linked down below for all the different things, Jessica, to keep up with her. And if you want to check out my stuff, you can check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Logan Tyler. You might already be watching this video on there. That's where the video versions of this are hosted. Or if you want to listen to me just talk about movies and television and just make the same dick jokes, but in reference to, movie producers versus politicians, and maybe a little less angry because I'm way less mad at people producing movies and politics, but whatever. You can check that out at Held Captive Media, also linked down in the description. Well, thank you so much, guys. Peace out.
Adios.